Hello and welcome to this video where today we're going to be doing something a little bit different because we're going to start to try and turn my garden into a wildlife photographer's paradise. Now, while I have a lot of plans as to what I want to do here in the garden, I figured first of all I should actually come up with a bit of a plan. So earlier I sent the drone up to get a bird's eye view of the garden, which I can then turn into a map. So I've got a good idea as to what is actually here now. So we do have some sort of older, more established trees in the garden in the form of the copper birch. We have a couple of small apple trees as well as a cherry tree. We've also got this hawthorn here behind me. Now over this side of the garden we have got the massive, which I'm pretty sure is an ash tree, in the corner, and then we've got a conifer sort of behind it, as well as some hawthorns up this side. Now with this side of the garden we're not actually going to be focusing on this today. However, I do have a question that I would like some help with. So we've got a lot of ivy on these trees over here, and I'm not sure how much ivy is too much ivy. So I've looked online, and from what I can see, the ivy doesn't choke the trees. However, there's a lot there, so if I need to take it out I will do. So if you could put in the comments, is that too much? Does that need managing? And then in a future video I can sort that out. Now I have had some feeders out in the garden for a while. I am down to one just peanut feeder at the moment because the storms have taken the other ones out of commission, which is not ideal. So I do just have the one up that is in the cherry tree at the moment. So that is sort of the garden done. So what we're going to do is do some observing as to what is here currently now in January, but also I'll show you what else I've seen in the garden throughout last year, and then we can make a bit of a plan as to what we're going to do moving forwards. Now I did try and put out a camera trap. It was just an old one that we had from my fella's work that he was using for something, but it's not working at all, so that hasn't helped the situation, but hopefully we'll be able to get some images with the camera just to give us a base mark as to what is here at the moment. Okay, so we've been out here for a little while now, and we've got a nice lot of sort of common birds coming in, mostly blue tits and some great tits. There's been some robins and blackbirds as well, and there is a little wren around that lives in the garden. In terms of where they're going, they're sort of hanging around on the new growth on the old sycamore before hopping onto the cherry tree where the feeder is, and they're hanging around the cherry tree quite a lot, obviously, because that is where the food is. So what I think I'm going to do is put in the new feeder. I was just trying to figure out where to put it because I want to put up some more perches, and I am going to do some pruning around the old sycamore because that's quite untidy at the moment. But I don't want to go too far. I don't want to do too much too soon. So I think if we put the feeder in first and figure out where that's going to go, because I want them to be able to hop to it and around it, but I don't want it to be too far away that they don't use it. So I'm thinking probably just down a little bit from where I'm sitting here. And I can at least see if they go on it and if they like it, and then if not, I can then move it if it's not in the best place for them. So my other thought is putting it a bit further back between the two, well, the apple tree and the cherry tree, because that's a nice area, that, because it's shooting down into the field. There's not so much in the way of distractions behind it, because we've got all the farm buildings and the farm and stuff over there, which is quite distracting. I don't really want that in the back of the photos if I can do it. So, yes, let's go get the new feeder ready. So I got the new feeder station set up and we're just going to put it out. Now I think it's just quite hard at the moment to figure out where to put it in terms of the background, because you can see the sycamore here is quite untidy, so I am going to trim that back a bit. Also, another issue we have in this garden is that there's a really big hill up behind the house. So at the moment, because the sun's quite low, it's about, I think it's just gone past 2. So you can see the sun is over there. So for half the year, we don't actually get sun on the house or in the garden, not directly. So whilst at the moment it's not too much of a problem because the whole garden is just in shade, as the nights draw out and we get into spring, the sunlight slowly creeps forward. So it does get to a point where it can be a bit tricky to photograph in the garden, light-wise, because half of it's in shade, but then right next to it is bright sunlight. I might be overthinking it. I think I'm too far ahead at the moment. Just put this out and then see what happens, I guess. Like I said, I do want to put some more perches out. I think here could be good, because that's sort of between, let me spin you around. Whoop. So we've got cherry, apple, copper beech, and then this area where they like to hang out, but they also like to hang out in that hawthorn as well. So I think we'll start with it here, because they've got a good hopping point from the apple tree and from the cherry tree, and then see what happens. Right, I'm going to have to put you down so I can put this up. We've got a height issue. I'm a bit worried about this loop now being too low in the ground, but I think what we'll do is I'll keep it there and just put the seed in that mesh tray and see if that attracts in some of the robins and stuff. But I can always just either take it out, or if I move the post, I can then move this ring up above the so that's in there, because I can't now get it above that. Now I've got the new feeder up, what I'm going to do is just try and tidy up the area a bit. So I'm going to trim some of the new growth on the sycamore, as well as some of the other trees that are behind me. Right, so I think as a first pass goes on that sycamore, I think that's all that I'm going to do to that today. Like I said, I don't want to take too much too fast, but also I think I might need Tim's help because I can't reach all of it very easily. Later on in the year, what I'm actually want to do is, you can see this like whoop, blue tarp here. Basically, there's an old log pile under there, but I think we've got most of the logs out and what's under there isn't good. So I think what the plan's going to be later on is to move all that out and actually put sort of like a bit of a habitat there, because we've got loads of old bricks and old bits of pipe and stuff in the garden. And there's a nature reserve nearish by to us where I've seen, it's like a rubble mound, for lack of a better term, sort of contained within sort of, it's like a wooden framework. And there's actually, it's either a stoat or a weasel. I'm not too sure. It didn't come out, so I couldn't see its tail to decide which one it was. But that lives in there. So I thought that might be quite a nice thing to put in that area there in the garden, but we're not going to do that today. What I'm going to do is I'm actually going to take Skylar out for a walk and then come back and hope that there's still enough light, just so I can see if anything's coming to it yet. I know I have literally just put it in and it could take up to a week or so for them to get using it properly, but I want to see where they're going and then if I can make any more improvements to this site as it is at the moment. Alright, so I just got back from my walk with Skylar, and whilst the light has dropped off, it's gone past 4 o'clock, so the sun is going down rapidly, I thought it still might be worthwhile just sitting out just to see if anything does hop onto that feeder, so I can get an idea as to what trees they're hopping from, or if they're even going to it yet. Like I said, I know it's really early days, it's literally just been out for a few hours, so it's unlikely, but the weather's going to change a lot tomorrow, so it's going to go from this nice crisp beautiful sunny days to our usual cloudy affair, and then there might be a bit of snow, I think, maybe later on. So hopefully we'll be able to get out in the morning before all the snow comes in and see if anything is happening, and yeah, go from there. Okay, so I haven't been out here too long in the garden, but the light has completely just dropped off now, which I knew it was going to. And so activity in the garden has completely stopped. However, we did have a visitor to the new feeder, a little blue tit on the peanut feeder there. So that's a good sign. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to leave it here for today. And then in the morning, we're going to hope that the weather's not too grimy and we can come out and hopefully see what's visiting and potentially set up some new perches that I can then photograph the birds on. Okay, so we're back out in the garden this morning, and what I've done so far is just trim back the apple trees a bit because they really needed doing. So I was following a guide online on how to do that properly, because I don't think I've been doing it right the last few years, and I did a little bit of pruning on the cherry tree, but not too much because I don't want to take too much off of that. Now, what we're going to do today is try and set up some perches. So I've been around and shopped the garden, and I have found this beast, which has come off the ash tree in one of the storms. So my plan is to fit it here because it's got some nice moss on it. So I think that's going to be a really nice photography, like main branch that we can then attach some other bits to. So what we're going to have to do though is obviously prop this end up. So the one that I've got is, unfortunately, the end has rotted. So we're going to try my best to fit that as best as I can. And then what I'm going to do is, whilst that's, hopefully the birds are getting used to it, I'm going to cut back the sycamore a bit more. So I've got a nicer background for when I'm photographing in the cherry tree. Okay, so now I got the post in, I can put in my branch. So let's see how that's going to look. We'll see how it's going to fit. Ideally, I want this mossy bit sort of facing towards you, because I'm going to be photographing from that top corner of the garden, I think. So see how that looks. I'm actually quite happy with that. First time, woo! So we'll just strap that down. Haven't got a screw gun with me at the moment, which isn't ideal. So what we'll do is we'll just strap it on. I'm going to have to put something through it, aren't I? Right, let's see if I can find even just a screw just to put in so I can actually lash it down. Oh, I couldn't find the drill, but that's fine because I just need this, or these screws to be in far enough that I can just tie the stick down on top. So nothing too major there. Okay, so now my photo stick is up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to leave it there, do a bit more tidying up in the garden, and then we're going to sit out and see if anything lands on it and if I can get the photos that I'm after. Right, okay, so I think I've finished fancying up the garden as much as I'm going to for the time being. So what I'm going to do now, I've put some seed out just on top of the branch here to see if I can attract anything and that I know it's safe. Now, like I said, I know it is really early days, what with having just put up the new feeder and now today putting up the perch, but I'm going to leave it for a few hours now, and then hopefully when I come back a bit later on, something will have gotten a bit used to it and we'll sit and we'll be able to get some nice photos. Okay, so I've actually been sitting out in the garden for a little while now, and I did decide to actually move the feeder from where it was to a little further down in the garden for a couple of reasons. One, I think I'm just too close to it, and yes, I know I'm not camouflaged at all and I stick out like a sore thumb. However, I still, as a base test for what, yesterday when I was out, I sat without having a hide or anything like that. I was just sat in the same location. So I just wanted to see if it would be the same today. So yeah, one, I think it was too close to me, and two, we actually have some nice fancy bits down the bottom of the garden. So I moved the garden chair out that was in there, because there was a wren down there and it looked really nice, but there's this plastic garden chair. So I took that out, and then next to that we've got a really nice ivy covered stump, which I'm hoping that something might land on it as well. But also I feel like the actual feeder is probably better there because it's sort of halfway between the sycamore and the hawthorn, and the little birds do like hanging out in the hawthorn and swooping down from there. So I'm hoping it has gone quiet after I've done all this moving around, so I'm hoping that I'll sit out for a bit longer and things will start to come back in. I also added a suet covered pine cone thing to my new branch to see if that helps. And there was a weird metal thing in the garden that looked quite nice, so I put that down there in case Robin wanted to perch on it, because I think that would be quite nice as well. So I'm quite liking how it's set up now, and we're just going to sit and see what happens and hope something comes in and we can take a photo of it. So I've been out here for a little while and the most amazing thing had happened. I've not seen them ever in the garden before, but we had a small flock of long-tailed tits just arrived. I mean, they were only here very, very quickly, so I managed to get a photo, but it's nothing too exciting. But that's so good that they've actually came to the garden and landed for a bit. So I think they've moved on. I'm hoping that they might come back, but that's a good sign that we're doing something right already. Right, so I've been out here in the garden for a good couple hours now and I'm starting to get quite cold, but also the light has gone. So I think this is a good place to wrap things up. So we did see some cool new things in the garden already. Whether that is a coincidence or not, I'm not sure. So we had the long-tailed tits very quickly fly in, and there was also a couple of bullfinches down on the bank on the other side of the garden, which was pretty cool to see. So really happy with what we did see. Unfortunately, nothing really went onto my branch perch yet, but I think hopefully in the future something will, and I can build on that as well, add more to it. Right, so I was intending on ending the video yesterday. However, when you wake up to this, what sort of wildlife photographer are you if you don't try and photograph some animals in the snow? I've just gone out and refreshed the water because that was just full of snow slush, and put a bit more seed out and scattered a bit on the floor a bit to see if we can't get some in. It looks like there's quite a lot of birds wanting to come in, so I'm going to shut up and I'm going to sit out and hopefully we'll photograph something. The snow's not hanging around long, as you can't see it, but it is just like mizzle this morning. Tell you something, this seat pad is bloody amazing. Okay, so I've been out in the garden for about an hour and it has just been incredible seeing all the birds coming into the garden, eating off of the feeder. Now there is still a lot more work to be done. A lot of the birds are coming straight from the hawthorn or the sycamore and going straight on to the feeding station. So I need to work out how to put in some more perches down here. And we did have a few visitors onto the log that I put out, and again that's going to need some more work, but as a starter I feel like we have made some great progress here. Can you see them behind me all on that tree? Don't need to be sitting up out all the way, do I? They're just coming straight in. Okay, so that's just going to about do it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching, and if you've got any handy hints for me that I can use to help make this setup even better, please let me know in the comments, and I shall see you in the next video.